Let's chat Miami Dolphins now. I am your host, Tom Downey. Some interesting notes around the Dolphins coming out of OTAs, namely for today's video, around Jaylen Waddle and or Jevon Holland, two of the team's first draft picks this year, on returns. Now, there's also some Jakeem random case we'll get to in a second. But first, Waddle, who, when he was healthy and making returns, electric. All SEC return man back in 2019. However, he is coming off the broken ankle, which he suffered last season, returning a kickoff. From a game-breaking perspective, finding a way to get the ball in Waddle's hands when they already have, by the way, Will Fuller and DeVante Parker, getting those extra, touch or two a game on returns adds up pretty quickly there. But do they want to risk him? It's a good question. Now, Miami Herald also pointed out, well, maybe Jevon Holland could do that role. After all, he was Oregon's punt returner in 2019. Also worth mentioning at the college level, at least, no kick return experience. And we'll come back to that third note in a little bit, but there are some Jakeem Grant implications we'll get to later on. I am intrigued by this route, though, putting your young players, who maybe will be more of a not full-time starter, but like key rotation piece on defense and offense, get them on the field as much as possible, right? Of the two, however, it's very clear who the better return man is. And this is not even a dig on Jevon Holland. Jaylen Waddle is an electric return man. You see the stats, right? Less than 50 returns at Alabama, 3 of them went for scores. That's a bit unsustainable. That's like some NCAA 14 numbers out there on PS3. But Waddle is a game breaker. And once the ball is in his hands, good things tend to happen. The question is, do the Dolphins want to risk Waddle and or Holland, but probably more so Waddle, on returns? That is a question they'll have to answer. And I think the results in practice will be, okay, Waddle can do this. Maybe they put him in high-leverage return situations. Either way, it's an option for Miami. So get your votes in for me. Do you want one or both of them on returns, kick or punt returns? Get your votes in for me. Type Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. Now, the other side of this is that the Dolphins have right now a very good return man. Jakeem Grant has handled that role since he was drafted at Texas Tech back in 2016. Over his career, very impressive production. However, the NFL loves to be cheap. And if you feel good about, just putting Jaylen Waddle back there with a receiving depth chart that's actually fairly deep, Dolphins save over $4 million by making Jakeem Grant a post-June 1st cut. So I think if Miami trusts Jaylen Waddle, or heck, maybe Lynn Bowden back there too, or Jevon Holland or whoever, cutting Jakeem Grant, I think, should at least be in consideration. Or maybe you try and trade him, because Grant is a good return man. Do you want to pay $4 million when you could save that amount to go with a cheaper option? Maybe, maybe not. Part of the issue here is that overall with Miami, I don't know exactly what role Grant would play at receiver with everyone's healthy. Like, it's going to be DeVante Parker and Will Fuller and Jaylen Waddle for the most part, but there's also Lynn Bowden, who I'm excited for this year. There's Preston Williams in there too. So if you can cut Jakeem Grant, save the $4 million, maybe that's the path the Dolphins should actually pursue. More receiver talk here today for the Miami Dolphins. How about trading for Julio Jones? I am a bit surprised by this, but everybody wants Julio Jones out there in the media landscape, so fans decided that the Dolphins should go trade for him. Now, there are a couple buts involved, too. The first one, I'm going to say notes, I should say, not really buts, but Miami would have to take on his $15.3 million. That's a pretty hefty amount to pay, and trading either part of the Julio Jones trade or elsewhere, or cutting players, would probably be needed. Then again, it is Julio Jones, right? I mean, this guy has just balled out since day one of entering the NFL. Now, fans suggested saying, oh, maybe you could cut Emmanuel Ogbah. Hate that idea. You kind of need him at pass rusher. But there are ways in which Miami could make this work out. You could do stuff like restructure / extend higher-priced guys, including maybe Emmanuel Ogbah and or Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. So money-wise, you could make it work if you're the Dolphins. You could find a way to get Julio Jones in. Remember, if you want any one player, you can always make it work. It just might be a little bit tricky. Now, the big issue here is that the Dolphins are in a very unique situation at the wide receiver position specifically. This is not a spot where the Dolphins are desperately hurting to get more help on their roster. They're in pretty good shape, right? They've got DeVante Parker. They've got Will Fuller. They've got Jaylen Waddle. They've got Preston Williams as well. And they've got Lynn Bowden, Robert Foster, Malcolm Perry, Alan Hearns, Albert Wilson. Like, all those guys are not going to make the team, right? There's already an excess amount of talent at the wide receiver position for Miami. What FanSided suggested was trading away DeVante Parker to help make that move work out from a money perspective and from also just getting enough guys, the right guys on the field in the end, which is somewhat intriguing. Now, DeVante Parker, who Dolphins fans said for years he's going to break out this year. It took him a while, but he did. The breakout did happen for DeVante Parker back, not last year, but the year before that there. He's had success in recent years, and he's a good football player. 2019, right? 72 grabs, 1,200 yards, 9 scores. This past year, not nearly as productive. I would also argue that, hey, you know, it's the quarterback, the injuries, all that kind of stuff were the contributing factor there. I think if you're Miami and you're going after Julio Jones, making room for him by shipping out Parker does make sense, but is that enough of an upgrade short-term and long-term to justify it? I'm not sure, so I want to hear from you guys here. Would you trade Parker if it got the Dolphins Julio Jones? Type in D for deal or type in N for no deal. Get your votes in right now. Now, I did just want to make an overarching view here of where things sit in the Julio Jones market, the betting odds, if you will. Patriots and Titans are plus 200. All right? The Colts are plus 600. The Ravens are plus 800. The Niners plus 800 as well. So Dolphins not there. They're not even in the top 10. And frankly, despite the suggestion from FanSided, I am inclined to agree with. I think there are other teams out there who have a bigger need for receiver that make more sense. I mean, shoot, I think Las Vegas at plus 1,200. Maybe even the Packers at plus 1,000 make more sense in the end than what the Dolphins currently have. So I'm down to explore it. I just don't think receiver is the biggest need in the end for the Miami Dolphins.